Are you applying for the US student visa? There have been some big changes this year that could impact your chances. In this session, I'll break down various developments which have taken place and exactly what you need to do. But before that, make it a point to subscribe to this channel if you are looking at US as a destination for your studies. And yes, make it a point to send this as well to your friends who are looking at US for their education. In this video, I will be covering some very important topics that can make or break your US visa journey. I am going to be breaking this whole video into chapters. I'll be starting with what are the current happenings in the US and what you can expect during the visa process. I'll be talking about the top 3 reasons why students' visas do get rejected. Next, I will be talking about how visa officers actually make their decisions. I'll also be focusing on key tips to help you frame a strong answer. I'll be taking few sample questions and how you can tackle the same. Red flags. These are those areas which can hamper your chances of getting an approval. So what are the critical red flags that you should watch out for? What to do if your visa has been rejected in the past and you are going for a subsequent visa interview, what you should carry on the date of your visa and how, of course, to dress right. And finally, I should also be talking about 2 important aspects, a few important tips and what you should do if you are struggling to get a visa slot. Do make it a point to watch the complete video because there are a lot of insights and any small mistake or an error from your side can result in a visa rejection. To make things easier, I have added timestamps in the video timeline. So if you wish to skip any specific section, you are free to use them. Let's start with the first chapter. What exactly is happening in the US? And what is that you can expect in the visa experience? Now, first we need to understand the broader picture. US immigration policy, especially during the current administration, has shifted towards attracting genuine and high quality talent. This means that over the coming years, students who aren't serious or well prepared will find it harder to get through. Not just in terms of visa, but also in terms of long-term stay and potential permanent residency. Now, while this video is not about US immigration policy in general, I assume you have already decided that US is your study destination. And what you are really looking for now is the final green signal, your student visa approval. Here's where it gets serious. Visa approval or rejection isn't random. It's based on local fraud trends. Countries with high history of visa misuse, and unfortunately India also comes in that, they face higher scrutiny and higher rejection rates. During President Trump's first term, the US introduced the concept of extreme vetting. Now, these were for those countries where the fraud rate was high. The net result of that is Indian students may face more intense questioning and document checks. There is also a crucial mindset shift that you need to bring about. The visa process works on the principle of guilty unless proven innocent. Yes, it does sound harsh, but what it means is that when you go for the visa interview, the visa officer is going to assume that you are a potential migrant. And this is going to be by default. What is your job? In the few minutes that you will get during the visa interview, it's your responsibility to prove that you are a genuine student with a clear plan. If you fail to do so, the outcome is usually a rejection. Now let's talk about something very important. What are the top 3 reasons why US student visas get rejected? Why should you know of this? Because if you're not careful with these, even a strong profile can get a negative result. The first and foremost, of course, is the wrong choice of university. This is a red flag if you are not selecting the right university basis your profile. For example, you are going to a university with a low academic standing or low ranking. Maybe the university isn't well known among Indian students. Maybe it is a day one CPT university or has unusually low tuition fees. Visa officers are trained to spot this. If the university choice looks off, then it can raise a question about your intent and it can lead to the visa rejection. The second reason is the wrong choice of program itself. A mismatch between your background and the program you're applying for. Now that is also a big red flag. Let's say you have studied mechanical engineering, but now you are applying for a general master's in management program or master's in information systems or even business analytics program without any solid explanation. This can seem suspicious. General programs, especially those that appear to offer an easy path to jobs, are more scrutinized by the visa officers. The third important reason is the weak financials itself. This is one of the biggest reasons for visa rejection. Visa officers need to be fully convinced that you can afford your education. As a student, your financial story often depends upon your sponsors. The visa officer forms an impression based on who your sponsor is and how they are funding your education. Now, this might seem unfair, but in my experience, if your sponsor is a teacher, a farmer, or someone in a modest income profession, your risks go high. But don't really worry. I will be talking about how you can handle all this smartly in subsequent chapters. Also remember, you must show both funds and source of funds. Lack of documentation like ITRs, the income tax returns, is a common reason for students to get rejected. And lastly, visa officers love numbers. Please make it a point to know the exact financials of your sponsor, income, saving, and how they earn. Every detail matters. In this chapter, let's understand how the visa officers take the decision. The visa officers rely on two main things. One, a very important document that you are required to fill before your visa interview, that is a DS-160 form. And second, your answers during the visa interview. Unfortunately, most of the students don't take DS-160 seriously enough. I've seen many students rush to submit it, treating it just like another form, but that's a big mistake. Here's why. Your DS-160 is the only document the visa officer reads, and they read it right at the moment when they're deciding your fate. So what you write there can literally define how your visa interview goes. A well-filled DS-160 builds trust. A careless one, it creates doubts. Some of the most important sections you need to focus on includes, number one, your job experience and the way you describe it. Two, your education background, especially if you're a fresher. Three, your family and the financial details. Four, and that is also equally important, any past visa history, especially if you have traveled abroad before. This also includes any visa rejection you might have had, and no, that's not only limited to the US visa rejection. Let me give you a tip. Make it a point to always keep a copy of your DS-160 before you submit it. It helps you stay consistent during the interview and avoid contradictions. Remember, whatever you write there can shape the visa officer's questions. Here, I am going to be talking about some very important visa interview questions and more importantly, the common mistakes students make while answering them. But before we can jump into these questions, let's talk about few basic rules that apply to every answer you give. First, please see to it that you are not addressing visa officers as sir or ma'am or madam, just officer. In fact, even while you're practicing, please see to it that you are using this term. It's more professional and the correct protocol. Second, avoid one-word answers. One-word responses add no value and make you seem unprepared. Let me give an example. Let us say they ask you a question, which college are you going to? Now, you just make it a point to say UNBC or University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Now, this is not going to add too much value. They already know of this. It's there in your I-20. A better answer could be, I intend to pursue my master's in data science from University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Now, understand the fact that by doing so, you have given more than what is asked, but that more is a relevant more. Yes, they did not ask for which specialization, but by doing so, you made your answer complete. Further, you get a chance here to exhibit your fluency in English, a very important requirement that will add positive marks to your answers. Third one, this is very important even while you're practicing. Please see to it that you are not giving a very lengthy answer. Frankly, your visa interviews are not going to be long. Of late, they are actually becoming shorter. Most of you, into a huge degree of probability, would probably have visa interviews not lasting more than 120 seconds. So what is the rule? My rule is very simple. See to it that your answers are around 10 seconds long. That's it. Not beyond that. Let's take an example. Who is your sponsor? Of course, saying my father doesn't help alone. You need to understand, you need to make your sponsor strong financially, because your financial strength is based on your sponsor's financial strength. So a better answer possibly could be, my father is my sponsor. He works as a general manager in a leading pharmaceutical company and earns around annual income of 12 lakhs rupees. Now this answer is giving context, is clear, and more importantly, highlighting the fact that my financials are strong. Point number 4, be specific yet complete. For example, let us say they were to ask you about your undergraduation. You are going for your master's. Don't just say you're a mechanical engineer. Mention which college you are from. Do make it a point to mention when you graduated, and yes, if your GPA is good, highlight that, because you want to mention the fact that you have been a good student and therefore you are projecting the fact that you will be a good student. Point number 5. One of the areas of high degree of scrutiny is going to be on the funding side of it. If you are, for example, asked, how are you funding your education? Please don't mention about, I'm funding it through my savings being given by my parents. Now that might not be sufficient. A good answer probably could be something like this. I have a mix of personal savings and education loan. My father is my sponsor. He has 10 lakhs rupees in savings, and additionally I have also secured a loan of 20 lakh rupees from ICICI Bank. This covers not just my tuitions but also my living expense for the whole program. Now notice what you have done. By highlighting this, you have said that, look, I have the funds, not just for 1 year as is required by the I-20, but for the whole program. And this gives confidence to the VO that you are not going to be one of those who is going to continuously look for part-time jobs or other source of income while in the US. Now here is very important. Quite often I have seen students first start with loan. Don't do that. Remember, saving is your own. Loan, you are dependent on someone. You need to repay that someone, and that could be a bank. So start with the saving and then move to the loan. And finally, the whole interview, create an impression that you are a serious candidate. A real example, this actually happened a week or so back. I was interviewing someone who was to apply for a visa for University of Central Florida. And guess what I asked him? I asked him, what is the capital of Florida? He said Miami. Good chance his visa would be rejected immediately. Now this might seem very small, but to a visa officer, it signals a lack of seriousness or basic research. Always know key facts about your university, location, as well as the program. Alright, now let's look at a few important questions and how to frame an answer. In this chapter, I am going to dive into some of the very common and critical questions asked during the visa interview and the mistakes you should tend to avoid. Let's look at one question. What is your intended purpose of travel? Now, normally this is the starting question. Now, quite often I see students, they are tensed, and guess what? They come out with a short answer: to do my studies. This is not just incomplete, it's weak. A better answer would be, I am going to pursue my master's in data science from the University of Central Florida, for example. Now this is short, complete, and puts you across as someone who is confident and clear. Why this university? This is going to be one of the most important questions, and yes, you need to be well prepared for that. What is the visa officer asking here? He is asking, Out of thousands of US universities, why did you pick this one up? Quite often I see students giving out a cliche answer. For example, it's a leading university. Now it could be leading, but there are many other leading universities as well. Why this one? So your answer should somehow differentiate this university vis-a-vis others. Let me give you an answer and then we will dissect it to understand what I have said. For data science, it ranks high nationally, and the university has a strong research lab focusing on machine learning, which aligns with my interest. Also, my undergraduate professor who studied here highly recommended it. I reviewed the curriculum and found it especially strong in healthcare applications of data science, which is exactly the area that my focus is on. Now, by saying this, I have not just praised the university, I have also personalized my answer. Maybe you don't have such a personal story. Maybe you don't have a professor who actually graduated from such a college. Bluff a little bit. You can take a bit of liberty, but see to it that when the answer comes, it seems more credible. And that is where practice becomes very important. Quite often students tend to memorize it and they lose the way. Please see to it that it comes as a conversation rather than something that you have by hearted. What are the other universities you have applied to? Understand why visa officers are asking this. They want to understand what set of universities you actually focused. Were you ambitious enough? So here, try to be honest. If you're applied to 5 or 6 and you got admitted in just 3 or 4 of these, it's okay. It shows the fact that you probably applied for few universities which are a little more ambitious and you got rejection. That's okay. The beauty is the first part is also exhibited, the fact that you are ambitious. Let's take an example. One of the very common follow-up questions that can come or can be a standalone question also is, you got admitted in University A and University B, why did you opt for A? Now, please don't speak negative about B. After all, you did apply for it. So rather than speaking negative of B, focus on that of A, but start your answer by praising B. I did apply and yes, I did get selected in University of Cincinnati as well. It's a fantastic research institution. But the reason why I finally opted for University of Central Florida is, and then you praise University of Central Florida. Visa officers also want to understand whether the studies that you're going for is in line with your plans or not. So one of the common questions could be, what are your plans after graduation? This is where I caution. I notice the fact that students rush to say, I wish to return back to India. Please don't do that. It should not come out forced. Yes, you need to convey that, but it should be a subtle speak. After graduation, I plan to gain some experience and build my professional network. My medium-term goal is to return to India and work in top companies like TCS in their healthcare analytics vertical. Now, this sounds realistic and career-focused. Sometimes students are also asked questions like, have you booked your flight ticket? Have you booked your accommodation? Don't just say no and stop at that. Elaborate. Not long, one sentence, but mention something about you that will impress the visa officer. Officer, I have been exploring options, but I plan to finalize everything after my visa approval. Notice, I have just highlighted myself as someone who is serious. I have done my research work. Yes, I did not take the risk of booking it, but I have not been sitting idly as well. But again, please be prepared for follow-up questions. For example, just to understand whether you have been sincere in your answer or not, they could ask questions like, which airlines are you considering? Will you be staying on campus or off campus? Please remember, and that's my guidance, if you're going for undergraduation, you can say on campus, but if you're going for masters, most of the colleges do not allow you to stay within the campus or have very limited accommodation access within the campus. So it's preferred to say off campus, close to the university. Tell me about your projects, tell me about your internship, tell me about your work experience. These are very, very important questions. If you do not have a work experience but your graduation is over, be prepared for questions like what you have been doing during the gap. Now, all these places, don't hesitate using jargons, but don't overwhelm them with jargons as well. The answer, when given right, can make a massive difference. So practice with a friend or a mentor, or even record yourself and make it a point to review. Let's look, for example, if someone had asked me, you graduated in 2024, what have you been doing the last 1 year? Officer, I was very sure about the fact that I wanted to do my master's. I did get a job offer, but because I was serious about it, I did not take it up. Last couple of months, I've been preparing for my exams like IELTS. I've also been applying to colleges, but beyond that, I've also taken a few online courses in intermediate level data science topics. Now, I can give this answer only if, of course, I actually have an offer, and more importantly, I have a letter to prove the fact that I got the offer. If not, you can just skip that sentence and continue saying what I did say.